Hello, friends. Professor M.T. Cranium here, and welcome to our first show. The show I like to call There's Always an Answer. This show is designed to show atheists all over the world that there's always an answer to the difficulties we find within God's holy word. I've got a letter here from a guy I'm going to call John. He says, how can Christianity be true if the Bible contradicts itself? An example, Matthew and Mark contradict when Jesus sends his disciples out, telling one time not to take a staff, and the other time not to take a staff. Well, John, I'm going to answer this in a very clear and simple way that I'm sure you and all other atheists can understand. It's not a problem at all. There's no contradiction in God's word. It all fits together like one cosmic jigsaw puzzle, every piece interlocking, just like that, without any problems and no gaps and no issues, no errors, and everything's falling just into place, just like God had planned it from before time began. So let me explain this in a clear way. In ancient times, when goats chased rodents in a circle, they would only chase them in a clockwise circle until the baboons ran through. Now, I'm not sure if they were carrying frozen milk or frozen grapefruit juice, but the baboons would come through. And when that happened, we would notice that the goats would start chasing the rodents in a different direction. Now that's very important, because when cheese gets compressed into what we might call a disc, we can also roll it up into a cylinder and then squish it back into a sphere. And then we throw it into the garbage and it starts to smell because it's rotten. And we don't take out our trash soon enough, and then flies and maggots start showing up, and then we get evicted, and that is part of the answer. But if we go back to the baboons, then we see that when they run through, sometimes they slip and fall and they break a leg. It's unfortunate, but the constitutional examination of the hyperbolic cotangent of the hypotenuse multiplied by 4.8 sometimes causes the goats to run off into different directions, whereas normally they would run off in the same direction, being a very societal, kind of animal. So we see that in the manuscripts there are basically indications of pizza and avocados. But we don't know precisely whether the fibers were cleanly cut or if they were torn. Now, sometimes if we look into the New Oxford Dictionary under the word platypus, we can find evidence of dogs interbreeding with rats, or I should be more general, rodents. So is it really rodents being chased by goats, or is it a intermediate species? Well, these are all great questions, but the point still remains that when baboons show up, well, the party's over. So, how does this relate to take a staff or don't take a staff? Well, it's pretty clear. If you take a staff, you can beat the shit out of the baboons. If you don't take a staff, well, you're pretty much toast. So that clears that up. Well, tune in next week when Professor M.T. Cranium will tackle another problem of the Bible. See you then, friends.